So welcome to this meeting. It's a production meeting for NRT Carbon Cartoon project. Today is Thursday, 1st August. The project is called Harmony on the Hill. So let me start by welcoming Nicholas, who's joining us as the editor. He's going to help us with editing the various documents that we need edited, like the pre-visualization and beyond, the first edit that's coming up. And I need us to discuss with the end in mind. We now need to start zeroing in on the ending. We need to have our animations done. And then, of course, they go into editing. So Nicholas is joining us now. And his aim is to edit whatever needs editing from an editor's perspective. That's the synchronization, not only of audio with, let's say, video, which is the main thing, but any effects or transitions that are needed to make the production, let's say, communicate professionally. So I'm going to share with him the details, the storyboard, the animatic, so that he has a sense of how the edit should look in the end. But for his sake, let me just outline the overall aim of the project. This project is something I would call an edutainment project. It's really trying to educate people by transforming them by way of their behavior into a desired behavior that our client is paying for. I'll explain the desired behavior. We need to produce a message that is interesting enough for them to watch, let's say for 9 minutes, and based on that, trigger some kind of engagement. Normally, they watch these videos during a training session. The training session happens when the officers are on the ground going from conservancy to conservancy. So these are tribes of northern Kenya. They live in conservancies. A conservancy is comprised of 1,800 clans, at least the one we went to in Westgate in Samburu. But there are different ones: Somali, Turkana, Rendile, you have Borana. We're working with 6 different tribes, or 4 different tribes, but 6 languages. And the idea is for us to produce messages that will transform their behavior in a way that's desirable to the client. What the behavior change that the client wants is for the morans. These are the younger, you can say, adults. So people between the age of around 16 to the age of, let's say, 28. That age range, again, Generation Z, are changing the way in which they herd cows or herd cattle. Cattle is comprised of cows, goats, and sheep, and that's the area of interest. The change is subtle, but for them it's a big change. That the young people have realized it's much more profitable financially to rear and keep goats and sheep than it is to keep cows. On one hand, goats and sheep reproduce a lot more, especially goats, a lot more rapidly than cows. A cow can produce a kid one after, or let's say a calf after 1 year or 9 months, whereas a goat can produce several kids in one delivery. So, in the same time, you can argue that the goat can produce 4 times as many as, let's say, a cow. So, in that sense, your flock is growing proportionately quicker. That's one. Two, goats feed off everything and anything. They can feed off soil, they can feed off plants that are just shoots in the ground. I mean, they're hardly plants. They can feed off the rangeland, which is like almost a desert, and they can survive. But cows are sensitive. They don't survive very well if there's no grass. So when you have cows, the Morans and the pastoralists are constantly on the hunt for grass. So keeping cows is more work. It's more dicey. If drought comes or flood comes, the cows are more vulnerable. The goats are less. Morans realize just keeping the shoats, which is sheep and goats, is much more profitable. So the problem is that when you keep many of these shoats in proportion to cows, the land degrades more quickly than it does when you keep cows. Cows are good and instrumental in rehabilitating the soil. The reason is that cows, when they eat seeds or eat grass, they drop a lot of seeds on the ground as they eat. And then when they walk, they literally, you know, um, plow the seeds into the ground. So there's a behavior of the cows which is self-preserving for the environment. They're planting the grass and sowing it into the ground so that if you manage them by eating here and then moving to another section, eating, moving to another section, eating, and then come back to the first one, you find that the grass has grown again. Cows do this naturally. But shoats or goats eat everything. They'll eat the seeds completely, they'll eat the shoots and the roots and leave nothing behind. They don't drop seeds. So in the long game, you find if you have more goats and sheep, then the rangeland will become a desert land. And they're trying to avoid this. That's what the client wants to avoid. Now, there's a capital incentive to all this. And the main capital incentive is this, that if you have vegetation, for example, if you're a rangeland and then you move from being a rangeland to a grassland, even if it's level one grassland, you'll find that the grass that has grown will absorb from the atmosphere a certain amount of carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide, which is being absorbed from the air, from the atmosphere, is called carbon sequestration, is measurable. Once it's sufficient in terms of measurement, you get paid. And the amount of monies that these conservancies earn from the carbon market is quite substantial. When we were there last year, we saw Westgate Conservancy, which is 1,800 clans in Samburu, earned $10 million. Was it 10 million shillings from the carbon market for carbon sequestration? But that was very little considering what the potential was. This year, they're targeting almost 5 times that, and they believe if they keep improving, they can earn millions of dollars every year from the carbon market. So all that has to happen is for them to ensure that their land moves from a rangeland to a grassland. That's all. That's it. And then the carbon sequestration that's measured will be sufficient. So so that's the goal, and the client wants to fund this animation to change their habit. The habit change that they need is for the Morans to recognize that the old tradition of keeping cows and cattle is far more useful, or you can say profitable, than keeping shoats and goats. So sheep and goats. That's all. Once the Morans get that, then they'll go back to the traditional method, which favors cows and has ways and means by which they can manage the cows. Um, it's not so straightforward because the even what we're talking about, the Moran see as one long term, two, it's more community based in the sense of the money comes to the community, it doesn't come to their pockets directly. So so those kind of things are disincentives, but it's just about education. Okay. So when we produce the final cut or even the first cut, the idea is to speak to that, exactly what I've said, that we're talking to Morans. These are young, educated people. The Morans are educated. They've gone to university, many of them college. The elders are not educated like the Morans. But the elders have the knowledge of how to preserve the land, rehabilitate the land. The Morans don't really have that knowledge. In fact, the elders don't just know it as being something that is incentivized. If you do it, you can get money. They know it as a means of survival. The Morans are desensitized in that way. So we're trying to sensitize them, to transform them, to go back to the old way of doing things. So the production features, the the heroes of the production are the elders, the ones who are actually explaining things. But they have to explain things in ways that are interesting, holding the attention of people. We need to cut. And this is what the client has said, that if you have too many talking heads, like just one person explaining for 1 minute, people will switch off. So you need, as he's explaining, you show something. He explains again, you show something. You come back to him, you show something. That kind of pacing will hold their interests, but it has to be done in a way that tells the story. So that's part of the edit that we're talking about. So I've explained the whole thing now because we're closing in on the job and we only have 2 weeks left, so we don't have much time. And I'd like us to now work with a bit more efficiency and a bit more speed to make sure that Act 2 and Act 3 are drawn out by next Thursday. We should have lip synced as well. So let's try and draw it out and lip sync by next Thursday. It's possible to also color if you just, resolve to color your work, you'll color it. but you have to maintain the color. That's all. But you have your own characters, so you know your colors. Just maintain them. We're meeting the client on Monday with the management group, the group that normally meets the client, and the client's going to push us on the deadline issues. They're already talking to us about it, but in a very aggressive way. So even when I say what I'm saying, I don't want you to produce poor quality work. But if we can tell the client that it's going to come out before 2 weeks, they'll be very happy. But I can't do that. I want to be on the schedule that we've put out, which is in 2 weeks' time. So next week, if you can make sure you've done 2 acts, we can go through them, even if they're rough. That's good. We've refined them. The refining, in my understanding, is really the coloring and yeah, and scene building, as we had said. The scene building is compositing of your characters. We'll see gaps, but we should try and kill those gaps early. But gaps means that we might see that a character is missing in one scene or something, and that needs to be done. So we have to fill in that gap. Or we see that a background is missing, so we have to find this background. Those are gaps for the last week. But if we're dealing with gaps in the last week, that's a better place to be. We need to be closing in. So towards the end, so next Thursday, we complete what we are saying is the animation, Act 2 and 3. And the following Thursday, we complete the gaps which exist. The client will be unhappy. You know, the client has already scheduled some events that they want to happen now. I don't even know the date of those events, but they've already scheduled them. So they really want to have this work according to those events out already. But we won't have them on time. That's okay. The thing is that we can't impose more delays on the timeline. So the editing needs to be done in a short window, like in 1 or 2 days, really, once the scenes are built. So the sooner the scenes are built, the sooner they're edited. And the sooner they're edited, the sooner we send it out to the client for the first cut, that sort of thing. Okay? We have 3 edits we're doing. We're doing one, the English version. We're doing number 2, the Swahili version. And then number 3, the most important version, is the Samburu version. We're doing those 3 in the first cut. They are organizing for Turkanas to come next week so that they can do a recording of them. And if the recording is done for Turkana, we'll do 4 edits in the first draft. Okay? So it's really coming to that kind of crunch. But this is where, if you're professional, you cope with this well and you maintain the quality and deliver on time. If you're not professional, maybe it's new to you and everything, then this is where things start to fall apart because it's difficult and it's tight and it's too much information. So I'm urging you to try to be professional now, which means that, I mean, the investment the studio makes is to employ professionals so that when trouble hits the fan, when the deadline is tight and the moment of delivery is on, we maintain it and we deliver. Okay, so let's try for that. That's what I wanted to say in terms of the update. But now coming to you, I need you to show us what you've done. I've opened up the drive now. You can actually upload your work back to the drive. I'll share the drive with Nicholas so that he knows how to upload his edits once they're done. I'll also show him the drive so that he can see the work. He can see the animation as you're producing them, and the various sections of it, like the storyboard, the animatic, the pre-visualization, to see all that. So let's look at the work. I'll need to start with any of you, like Alfan and then Vikram. Jake says he's not able to come on tonight. We haven't heard from Alvan. But Alfan, if you go first, are you in a position to show us something? Alfan, if you're speaking, we don't hear you.
Yeah, so so let me just share my screen and show what I've done so far.
Okay.
So can you guys see my screen?
No. Yeah, we can see it now.
So it's not yet completely done, but this is what I've done so far. So let me just play it.
then, they used to make grazing Our fathers had many cows. Like Ishun, there's no going back. Grazing on the hill in this conservancy is our next best hope. I agree with you, my friend. Our grazing land is depleted. Livestock won't survive without enough pasture. Grazing has changed. Our fathers had many cows. The livestock used to graze over short distance, but now they move very long distances. Back then, they used to make grazing decisions together, but now we do it individually. Like Ishun, there's no going back. Grazing on the hill in this conservancy is our next best hope. I agree with you, my friend. Our grazing land is depleted. Livestock won't survive without enough pasture. Grazing has changed.
So I haven't done the lip syncs, and there's some parts here I need to add a bit of animation of the head movement and the arm movement.
Yeah.
So that's the
Okay. Yeah, you've not done the lip sync. Okay, so you've got that, and you have several characters to work on. Afan. So do you still feel you can make it with the kind of time frames now that the time is shortening? Are you going to make it with the delivery?
yeah. So for Act 1 was the one that is the longest.
Okay.
I divided it into 3, so that was the one that is the longest.
Okay. On this character, he's lost a lot of his movement. When somebody walks, they move up and down as well. They don't just walk like their hands swinging. They also move up and down. They bob up and down. You know how a human being walks? We walk up, down, as well as moving forward. You see, he's missing all that. And then all of us walk in different ways. You can know someone by their walk. So this guy has lost a lot of the flavor that we wanted when we were um, doing the motion capture. He's lost the motion capture behavior. That's what's happened. Now I don't want to fuss about it because those are portfolio things. Those are things which make our work outstanding and difficult. You know what happens at the end is that they're going to take our production and show other productions they have done. They have done many other productions and compare the quality of our work with the others. The others is very stiff. All their work is very stiff. No motion capture, nothing's realistic. If we become like that, they won't see a difference. So that's part of the thing. If you want to guarantee more work, these guys want to produce a whole series, about 20 episodes. If you want to get most of those episodes, then there has to be something that makes our work stand out. So that's my advice. But it's not important to the client now because they're facing a deadline. Yeah, if you also show the head movement, it's good because it just adds some variation, and you want to have some variation that helps to hold the attention of the audience. Yeah. So this one is another one you want to show us? Okay, go ahead.
So this was the one that I was currently doing. So
Yeah.
it's not yet done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so that's what I've done so far. But probably by Monday or Tuesday I'll be done with all of them. So I've just done the rough block out of
Okay.
how I want the scenes to be. Yeah.
Okay. That's important. Like keyframes of sorts. Now,
Yeah.
the drawing quality is okay. The drawing quality is consistent, which is good. I see you're observing the rules of continuity so that you don't have jerky movement. I can see there's continuity. So those are positives. What I would say, of course, you have to catch up on the lip sync because once you lip sync and you have head movement, that will help to make people pay attention to what's being said. So this is what we're looking for on Monday. Where and I'm speaking to everyone, where there is the character in the walking, in the movement, preserve it if you can. If you can't, you can kill it. It's okay. But if you can, preserve so that we can feel these characters are moving realistically. It will help to immerse the audience better in the story if they're moving realistically. Okay? So that I'll say. And remember to preserve your wardrobe because these guys have some decorative elements on them. If you can pass on, even if it's not everything, but something that's decorative, it will help them recognize each other. They can reject it, they can accept it, but at least there's that. So just think of your character as a Moran, so that they can say, that one is acceptable. Okay. So we're coming in, and the next 2 weeks will be tight, but like next week in particular, we really have to analyze the work now in a way that we can composite. All right. So you said by Monday. So Alfan, what I'd like to see is I'll check for your folder, and I'd like us to talk on Monday evening, even if it's on WhatsApp, so that we can have a sense that you're on track. The client is pushing. Let me put it to you that way. They're pushing, and they're not pushing softly. It's me who's just holding them off. So I don't want to make excuses to them. I also don't want to be apologetic too much. I need us to be able to be on the offense, that we are ahead of the curve. We're saying something we can keep, and the clients respect us for that. You see, we also push them to pay. So when we are pushing now, they're pushing back, if I may say. They're pushing back because of that. I don't know. Sometimes you learn your client as you go. Vikram, on your side, do you have something? But Alfan, go ahead. You want to say something?
Right now, no. Just writing down what I need to work on.
All right then. Vikram, on your side, you have something?
Yeah, I have a little bit of something to show. Can you
Okay.
share my screen?
All right. Vikram, you normally work from the office. You don't work from home?
Yeah, most of the time I work from the office. Sometimes I work at home.
So you also have a laptop?
Yeah. So the last time I I I think I forgot to screen record or do something. So
Okay.
I thought like uploading them on the OneDrive, I'll be able to retrieve the files from home. So, but they didn't synchronize.
All right then. No problem.
Yeah. So yeah, I have like on the act one. I have three animals and one character.
Okay.
So I have a goat.
Okay.
So this is the first. Yeah,
Okay. So the goat is saying something.
yeah.
Are you going
And
to?
then I have the.
This one looks an inked drawing. Are you going to make his mouth move in this scene? Is it a mouth?
For now, I didn't do the. For now, I have not done the mouth or the eyes.
Okay.
I'll do the lip syncing later on. For now,
Okay.
I just wanted to do
Okay.
the line work.
That's okay. That's fine.
And
And then
then
you have some gaps on the stomach. You see the stomach and the leg there at the back leg. There's some gaps. It will affect in coloring. You're aware of that?
yeah. I just wanted to have
Okay.
like a flow of how it's,
Okay.
because I had before it was like a blocking, and then I come and fill
Okay.
every gap after I have found that the animation is working smoothly.
All right.
And then
Also, just a small comment that when you do a
yeah,
goat, like we are also going to have these guys have a flock of goats. So we're going to use your
yeah,
goat to duplicate it and then have many
yeah,
goats. So you'll think of a
yeah.
generic movement of a goat, which you can duplicate like that.
Sure.
So even the sheep. Are you also doing a sheep?
No, I only have a goat and then a cow.
Okay.
Let me share. Let me share the cow.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just share the cow.
Okay.
So the cow has two parts because it has the egret on the top of the head. So the same cow, I'm using it to animate on the both side,
Okay.
both for the
Mhm. Okay.
so I have like two parts here.
Hmm.
The first part is for the egret,
Okay.
and then the second part will be for the cow, the animation of the cow. So
Okay.
I'll do like a long shot of the cow and then duplicate the same cow with no more without much animation, but for the focus will be on the egret.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, because
yeah,
the way the storyboard is done in terms of zooming in, we're doing that in the
yeah,
scene building. But as long
yeah,
as you know what you're doing, then it's okay.
yeah.
All right. Now, this kind of, did you have another one? This is the two, or you have another one?
Yeah, I have another one.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm. So for this character, this
Mhm.
is the this is the broking, and
Yeah.
then I'll come to feel later on.
Okay. Are you using the shot from the you're using the shot from the live action?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, I see. But you've drawn it this way. Yeah, the movement
yeah,
looks,
yeah,
yeah, it's convincing anyway. It looks realistic. Okay.
yeah. So I have that one, and then I have this one.
Hmm.
So when the Ella is speaking, so this is the first part, and then the part when he's doing the gestures with his hand will come later, and
Okay.
then we'll do the thinking later on.
All right.
Yeah,
So you've seen the deadlines we're working with. Are you able to finish these, let's say by Monday, so that by Thursday, you've also done some substantial work on scene two and scene three? You know, scene two and scene three have less work because there's a lot of talking.
yeah,
So yeah, the movement is not as much as it is in Act One. So we hope that by Monday you've also cleared a lot of this Act One. In fact, you've cleared Act One. That's the goal.
yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask, can we copy exactly, let's say, the motion capture of the reference video that you sent, excluding the mistakes that were there, so as to capture
Yeah.
the precise movements as they are?
Yes, you can. The idea is to simplify the actual animation so that you're not trying to create frames between frames. That requires something. So the idea, if you're literally listening, like you said, capturing exactly, then you're not thinking about the keyframing. You're not even thinking about the in-betweening. You're just going in a forward direction tracing. You see? Yeah, you can do that. The only thing you should focus on is preserving your drawing so that the drawing is looking consistent and continuous. That's the main thing you focus on. You see? That's the reason for rotoscoping, because you see, like even in the next job that we're getting, the amount of animation that the clients want us to do is a lot actually, and you're doing a lot of cognitive thinking, like keyframing, in betweening, trying to, you know, like he's talking of blocking and then position your characters in ways that you introduce in out movement, things like those. If you're trying to implement the principles and you're thinking about it, you can't do that much. Your speed will slow down. If we rotoscope by tracing, then you're not thinking about it, then your speed is higher. So we're focusing on your ability to understand a lot of this motion intuitively, and you simply trace, preserve it. That's all. And if you do it successfully, then we can put out more animation every month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Has anybody else come? So, yeah, so thanks, Vikram. I think that's good. Vikram, just try to. So, being an animator requires discipline anyway. If you're a discipline, what I mean is that you block a certain amount of time every day when you do the work. And when you do work, you work productively in the sense that you block hours where you can produce the most output. If you succeed in doing that in a daily basis, then what will happen after a week, like when you come for these presentations, you'll be able to see who is disciplined because they're able to work steadily every day. And by the time a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks pass, the volume of work is piling up in their favor. That's how animators do well. Animators are not artists. Artists are indisciplined. In fact, part of being an artist is to be like that. That's why artists are encouraged to break rules, think outside the box, kind of thing, do things in ways that nobody does. So, artists in their character, it's conducive to their work. They Discipline is a bad word for artists. For animators, discipline is necessary. That's one. Two, the ability to work together is key because you see, all working on different things. So we're trying to use the pre-visualization to also provide a reference that allows the angle of every drawing to be the same, the size to be controlled, that kind of thing. But it requires working together, you see. Now, artists work solo, you see. So even though we're working solo, the instruments we're using are designed to come together. You see, so these things you should not forget. This is the real skill. Your ability to work as a team, your ability to work in a disciplined way will determine the output. And then the rules, because animators tend to just implement animation principles, the 12 of them. And the most important ones are the principle of continuity, like what we're doing now, and then consistency, which is not a principle, but it's one of the guidelines that you can't violate. But if you can do that, again, artists don't work across time. They work on a single instance of time. All right. So for us, we look at art as an instrument to help us to achieve our goal. So I need you guys to now think in this kind of way, where you emphasize discipline, you emphasize, you leverage your knowledge so that you move quickly, and you also emphasize continuity and consistency in your work so that we see less mistakes and we see more of the story coming out. If this happens within the next 2 weeks, we'll be in business. But the drawing, just see, your drawing skills are all sufficient. They're all enough. It's these other things that I'm talking about, like continuity, consistency, and discipline, that I need you to be strong on. But the drawing skills are fine. So don't worry about that. And also, when things are moving, small details you can get away with, but you have to know what you can get away with. You can't get away with things in people's eyes. If an eye goes cross-eyed or goes skew, people will see that. Even children will see that. Hey, look at that guy's eyes. You see, they'll find it funny. So you can't get away with mistakes on eyes, but you can get away with some mistakes, many mistakes, which are happening in movement. But you have to know what you can get away with. So make decisions that will favor finishing on time. That's what I want to encourage. So 2 weeks of getting it out, and then we're in a good shape with the client. It'll also favor us. I can also invoice them after 2 weeks. Well, it won't happen after 2 weeks, maybe after 3 weeks, because they have to test, come back with changes. We do the changes, and then when we do the second and third cut, we're at the point of invoice. Okay, guys. So, any other questions you might have? Anything else you want to add? Feel free. We can talk about it. Alfan and Vikram, Nicholas.
Hello.
Yes.
So, from what you're saying, I'm assuming that means that in the next 2 weeks is when you'll be ready for the first cut.
Yeah, in 2 weeks we'll be ready for the first cut, but we need a pre-visualization edit by Thursday. So you'll get the pre-visualization by Thursday for you to edit, and maybe we'll give you 2 days. It's a straightforward edit, but we'll give you 2 days, and then we'll send it off to the client. And then the following week we need the first cut, but again it'll be the same thing. You'll have now more than 2 days, but it's 2 days per language. So 2 days for English, 2 days for Swahili, 2 days for um, Turkana, Samburu. The thing with the client is that the decisions are made in English. So when you do the English one, you'll get the most changes. Then the rest just follow through. So the English one is where the client weighs in and makes changes. Okay?
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right. Any other thing that you want to add? Anyone? All right. If there's nothing, I'll stop the recording. I'll put it up for the people who have not attended the meeting just to understand the time pressure. I'll stop the recording now.